Okay, welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 142. You're probably thinking, wait, I thought you said you were going to do Is There Enter Ghost Dungeon? Yes, I did, but I did remember I did watch this a couple of days ago, but I didn't get a chance to review it. Now, here's the thing. I have thought I reviewed this about 6 years ago, this movie, but it turns out, nope, I didn't. So, here you go. Basically, I'm reviewing the movie known as... Well, from the Super Sentai franchise, Tensou Sentai Go Ranger vs. Shinkenger Epic on the Ginmaku. Yep. Excuse me. Now, this movie is definitely set after the events of Shinkenger, and it's set just after the Goseiger defeated the second faction in the series, basically the pollution monsters. Yep, that's basically what happened there. Now, in the case of basically the story of this movie, started with Saseki, where he's gotten out of the Senzu River, and you're probably thinking, how the heck that happened? He was on the boat when it sank. He was surviving the river, no problem. He basically lives on the river. And then we see what appears to be Daku. Apparently he's back. Well, I'll read about more about him. So, and immediately after we see Alta, leader of the Goseiger Rangers, where basically he's going to the corner store and never gives him a shopping list to do. So he goes out shopping, no problem, and on the way back, and then all of a sudden he runs up a nameless horde. Yep, runs into them, battles them for a while, and then we see Taku. He's back. He basically just wakes up after sitting cross-legged. He wakes up, I'm probably thinking, man, his legs must be like, man, my legs are asleep. I'm sitting here cross-legged the whole time. So basically, he goes out and basically helps out Alta, who's morphed up in his Goseiger form. And here's the thing. One thing I do appreciate about this. He does know who Taku is. He does know the Shinkengers are. And he does know what the Shinkengers did. He does appreciate that. And also, he basically says that, well, even though that the Shinkenger's mission was to take out the corrupt ones, basically the Goseigers got a very simple mission, protecting the Earth. So they agreed to work together because possibly Daku might be back. Possibly, yes. So, they go straight to the observatory house. This is basically where Goseiger was. This was pretty much their base operations they had throughout their entire run. Now, here's the fun thing about this place. It was, unlike sometimes you see in Power Rangers, where you see at the end of the season, where, like, the base is destroyed with the hero's base. This one, nope, it was not. It was over-destroyed. To my knowledge, no, it wasn't. And here's the thing about Sentai. The hero's base is very rarely ever destroyed by the end. Or at least during the season. It very rarely ever happens. Sometimes you might have a whole season where they think they might know what the Sentai base is, and they can't find it, or they just don't bother to do it. Usually, a lot of the time, the heroes, a lot of the time, usually like for the villain's base. So, we have where he does this whole thing. He does basically goes like, don't do that. But usually a whole step up thing is, well, he was just stuck up basically at the start of the Shinkenger season. So he puts his pillow, special pillow he sits on on the couch, just to be more polite. Because he sees the Goseigers equal, and then of course, the old man from the previous season, he comes back. Oh, by the way, we also do see later in the movie, the previous head of the household, who actually adopted Takachu, who actually is younger than he is. It's kind of weird. Her retainer is nowhere to be seen in this movie. Nope, but he does return for the Goseiger tribute. Yep. Yep, so they agreed to work together. And then, of course, Shinkenger Blue shows up. Probably leaving a kabuki play or to come here. And, of course, he doesn't know about the Goseigers at all. And, of course, they go out to find where they possibly detect him. And it's of all... Now, one thing I do appreciate that when they find out that the corrupt ones are there, they still have the signal thing from Shinkenger, which, good job for that. And then, of course, you have Takachu, Shuriken Blue, and the Goseigers, and they go to of all places, a soccer stadium. Where you see Circa the Bones is back, and then you see a hand over Dakushu's face. And he fires a blast at Takushu, he's ready for him. And he does this, and he slowly pulls his hand back, and it's Blade Runner. It's Blade Run. Yes, the main villain from Goseiger. Yep, he's posing as him, which, great reveal. That's fantastic. Love it. And pretty much he basically put on the same outfit that the Butcher put on. How the heck is he assuming this form is never specifically revealed? So, he pretty much in a way kidnaps Shuriken Red. He kidnaps the current Shuriken Red. And later on you see him, he's basically brainwashed. He wears a black attire. Yep, he tries to take him up, but it doesn't work at all. So, oh, by the way, during this battle, we see them take on the BBs. That's the grunts basically from Goseiger, and we also see the bats, which great to see them, and also Chakti Shinkenger, and he shows up too. And remember, there was actually 3 more Shinkengers. Yep. So, of course, basically, the 2 Shinkengers are there. Blue and green are upset with the Goseigers over the capture of their lord. So they treat him like dicks. They act like dicks, basically go off and do their own thing. And Alta basically figure like, what we're gonna do now. Alta's like, why don't we go find the other Shinkengers? They're like, okay, interesting. So we have it where I believe it's Black and Yellow go retrieve Shuriken Pink from the airport because she's flying there from Hawaii. And of course they pose as the Kabuto, which is so funny. Yep, and of course they reveal who they are, and of course they put her in the little carrier thing, but the thing is too heavy. And she thinks, oh, you make fun of me? It's like, no, the thing is actually quite heavy. So Yellow goes inside the thing. Actually, it's pink. Yeah, it's Shuriken Pink. Yeah, they go inside, and then basically Black just picks the thing up and runs away with the damn thing because he's really strong. And then we see Shuriken Yellow, which is so quite nice. And of course, she comes on a train. Of course, she thinks she's Ryu, but nope, it's actually Joe. It's not Joe. What was his name? The guy who's Goseiger Blue. Hyde. Yes, Hyde. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He sees as Hyde. Come on. Thank you. Okay, there we go. So, one of the good thinks is him, but nope. And of course, they introduce themselves and they bring him. And of course, she doesn't buy the fact they're angels. We have most of the Shuriken reunited here. And of course, most of the Goseigers there. And then all of a sudden, basically, Taka's back. Morse. And he puts on his coat, except it's black now, not white or red. Yeah, it turns out that Blade Run brainwashed him. Yep, attacks some group, and he's about to do another attack, and all of a sudden, Alta steps in, takes the full blunt of the thing, and, well, they decide, and then all of a sudden, they do another attack on them, and then all of a sudden, Genta and Gosei Naisho completely out of nowhere. They use their combo attack, and that basically leads into these people basically just using it. But now, Hyde and Ryu, water. You have Emma and Miko, who basically are wind power base. Chika and Mino are like ground base, kind of. Yeah, and they basically kind of combine, let's just say, like powers per se. Takes him a while. Alta is injured. He basically is like unconscious the whole time. And then he wakes up, and of course, and then all of a sudden, the previous head of the household shows up. Yes, the princess. Kairu. Where Genta's there, and she's like, oh yeah, former head of the household, and Taka's mom. And you're like, what? And she's like, come with me. I want you to do something for me. And basically what he does, he just basically just holds out his card And then she proceeds to basically draw a symbol of fire. Here's the thing. Alta's power is wind. None of the Goseigers have the power of fire. None of them do. So, then of course, basically, like, they all formulate the plan. And of course, they go, and of course, what Blade Runner's plan is pure and simple. Use Senju River to destroy the Angel Realm. That is his plan. The Senju River. And they try to unleash it, and all of a sudden we see a combined army of two grunts, the BBs, and the Nameless Horde. And of course, they have the really good morph sequence, which we do also replayed in the episode Goseiger, which I'll get to more of that. So, they basically morph, and they pretty much morph. And then, of course, they launched a humongous battle. And, of course, we have where Alta and Taku take on Blade. As for the octopus, well, here's the thing. We have it where the Shuriken Lantern is witnessing 2 movies in a row sees this. Where... And apparently he completely forgets about the fact that, oh yeah, I met you guys before. You guys saved us from that stuff, the previous movie. It's like... That part was basically like they completely forgot about that part, which I thought was kind of weird. So, all of a sudden, he wants to, but all of a sudden, here comes the Goseiger. Yep, making their first appearance ever in Super Sentai history in this thing. Yeah, of course, this explanation of how the heck they got here. This actually explained in episode 40, where it was a time travel episode. Yep, it was a time merger tribute, and they went back in time to this very movie. And basically, it's like, oh look, it's the Goseiger Shuriken doing their awesome, like, finish the morphing call, and we had the humongous explosion in the background, which is always freaking awesome to see that. And in the movie, they take on the show take on Shinkenger. When they beat him, wait, it was another one, and it turns out basically Alice. Yes, Alice was here, and this is. Now, here's the strange thing about Alice, and this is actually episode 4 of Goseiger, that this actually was her, this actually was set, I think, from what I can tell, before, or I think just before her debut in the Mantis Empire stuff, because, well, that's what she was with, and she brings along a creature from, well, the Shinkenger stuff, and they take on that, and that's the reason they had to stop the whole, well, the reason they're there, because in the movie, they're just randomly there just to introduce them. So eventually, of course, Blade Runner is defeated, and of course, well, with Akru dead, that's Akru's his parents, with Shika dead, and they was Horde defeated. All that's left to defeat to take on is Senju River itself, which they decided to seal the river. Yes, they said to seal the river up, and the Senju River, and right afterwards, they all go their separate ways, and that's it. It's a damn good movie. Oh, and by the way, when it comes to Senju River itself, the river never returns ever again. Nope, it doesn't. Do not know. Now, this is probably, in a way to the best way to describe. Oh, by the way, they do have to use various forms they have in here. In the case of Shuriken Bones himself, this technically was his last ever appearance in the history of Super Sentai. Yep, this was his final appearance. Of course, yes, he did appear as part of a explainer episode 40 of Goseiger. But in the case of his former, as for the Nameless Horde, however, they would actually appear like a couple more times after this. They actually will return like right after this movie. They've actually returned in like a couple movies afterwards. Actually, a few movies. By the way, Daku himself would actually return. He would actually return to life. Like, afterwards. Yeah, he would actually pop up, like, in 2 movies. He appeared in Tension, the 2 Tension movies, and an episode of Zaru, episode 29. Yep. Yeah, and that was pretty much it for him. Yeah. Plus, they do a combo move where they all get their super Sentai suits and they combine the Megazords, which is so awesome. But this is just a damn good movie. And it feels as though that the writer of the movie have a lot of respect for Shinkenger. I like the fact that the leaders are treated as equals, not basically opposing each other like we were in the last movie. Yeah, just overall a really good team up. And in case you're curious, still, will I ever do Return of Shinkenger? I may do that eventually. I just feel like doing this movie because it was something that needed to be done. Yep. But yeah, that's going to be it for this particular review. Next one's going to be is Ron Girl's Dungeon. That will definitely be next. Okay, next video. Bye.